Okay, now we're going to get a little bit more technical in our troubleshooting. Let's say up to this point, you've done everything. You've checked to make sure that there's gas coming out. You lit the pilot's lit, but now when you flip the switch, it doesn't want to turn on. There's a few quick things you can do to check the basics before you start pulling things apart. The first thing you want to do is you want to check, is your gas line, is it close enough to the pilot? I've gone at times to light fireplaces, and for some reason or another, this was bent too far out, so it's not catching the gas, or there's just way too much debris or contaminant in the line, and you have to just basically remove the screw and kind of blow it out. Check those things. Now, if you've done that and you say, hey, I'm still having issues, I know it's nice and close, it should be able to light. I've removed the line, I took out the screw, and I blew out the line, removed all the dirt, I put it back in, I'm still having issues. The next thing you want to do is you want to check the switch. You see the switch is on and it still hasn't lit. We're going to remove this switch and we're going to tap the lines to see if that will turn on the fireplace. I've removed my screws for the outlet cover. Now I'm going to remove my 2 screws that secure the actual outlet to the outlet box. Now these are low voltage wires coming from the fireplace, but again, always be careful when you're working on any electrical. If you don't feel comfortable, then you'll want to call a qualified or certified technician. Now you see here, the switch is still on. The wires appear to be in, but this wire is loose. Now you're going to see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just basically tap the wire in and the fireplace is going to turn on. You see right now it's still in the on position, and I'm going to tap it, and you can see here the fireplace turned on. Now I'm going to not touch it. You see, this is me just kind of playing with the outlet, and you can see here this is just due to a loose wire. Go ahead and re-secure the wire and make sure it's fastened down nice and tight. And now we're going to turn the switch on. You can see here the fireplace lit right away. Now let's say you secured the wires, you turn it on, and you're still not getting any power, any signal sending for that to light. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to consider the switch. Now the best way to see if the switch is working properly or not, if you turn it on and the fireplace doesn't light, then what you'll want to do is you want to remove these 2 wires and tap them together. If you tap them together and the fireplace lights, then you know you have a faulty or bad switch. Now you can see here I've removed the switch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the 2 wires, and once I tap it, the fireplace should light. So I'm just going to tap it, and you can see here the fireplace is on. Now the second problem that I found is, let's say we're starting from the beginning of the video. We turn the gas supply to the open position to feed the gas to the fireplace. You verify that's working, that's on. Make sure the switch on the wall is on the off position. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this access panel. We're going to put on our gas valve, we're going to put our dial onto the pilot position, and then we're going to push the pilot in, and we're going to listen to see if there's any gas coming through. So right now I'm pushing in the gas on the pilot on my valve, and I do not hear any gas coming out of my line. What happens a lot of times in this gas line right here, there's a little orifice that sits inside of here, and what happens is a lot of times The only thing that feeds through the gas through this orifice is that little tiny small dot right there. And a lot of times what happens is it's full of sediment and debris and it's clogged and it's not allowing the gas to come out for you to light it. If that's the case, what you're going to do is you're going to first turn off the gas supply line that feeds the gas to the valve to your line. Go ahead and turn it off. Now we're going to have to loosen our nut. Be very careful. Don't just take your wrench and stick it on there and crank it, because what you'll do is you'll end up bending this line and you'll just mess with the alignment. So be very careful. What I like to do is I like to take vice grips and I hold it, and at the same time with my other hand I will firmly loosen the nut. Like I said, be very careful. I did have to get a smaller crescent wrench just to fit in there. Once you loosen the nut, my best recommendation is to use both your hands when you're trying to push this down. What I'll do is I'll have one hand while I push it down from here, just gently wiggling it out, and then with my other hand I have my hand here and I'm just gently wiggling it down at the same time with both hands. Now you can see here I pulled down the supply line, and you can see all of that sediment build up on the top of the orifice. Now this is obviously going to cause restrictions when you're trying to allow the gas to shoot through to supply it for the igniter. This is what a clean one looks like, and this is one that is full of contaminants. Now these are both of the orifices. You can see the one on the right is the one that I cleaned already. You can see light at the pinhole, and then on this one you can see it's still clogged. So we're going to have to clean this one out. The best way to do that is to kind of take a bowl with some type of degreasing solution and kind of just lay it in there for anywhere up to an hour. And I know some guys use like tooth picks to kind of clean it out. Once you clean the orifice or replace the orifice, go ahead and turn your gas supply line that's on the wall, turn the key to the open position, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put your orifice back on the line. You see I've done that here, and then we're going to push in the dial on the gas valve, making sure it's on the pilot position. We're going to push it in and we're going to listen to see if we hear gas coming out. Go ahead and turn the gas line off before reassembling everything back together. Make sure your switch on the wall is on the off position. Again, when you're tightening it, make sure you're clamping very securely on the top, and then you're just, being very careful when you're tightening this back up. Once you've reassembled the line, go ahead and turn on or open your gas valve. Make sure you're set to pilot on your gas valve. You're going to push it in, and then you're going to hit the igniter at the same time. And once you ignite it, your pilot should turn on. Give it a couple of seconds, still holding in or pushing in your pilot. And then once you let it go, your pilot should stay on. If your pilot doesn't stay on, let's say it lights up but it doesn't stay on, then go ahead and redo the process. Hold it, hit your igniter, keep hitting it. Once it's lit, keep your hand on the knob and wait a couple of seconds up to a minute. And then once you do that, the pilot should stay lit. Once it's lit, go ahead and turn your switch on the wall. The pilot's lit. Now I'm going to let my finger off. You can see here that it stood lit. Now I'm going to turn on the switch on the wall. Turn your dial to the on position. Flip the switch on for your fireplace. And you can see here it turned on. Now let's say you follow the process from the beginning of this video to the end and you still are having issues, then lastly, I would suggest at this point replacing your valve here. I know it looks like there's a lot going on, but it's really not. Once you order your new gas valve, you'll basically just reassemble it as you see it. The wires go in the same positions. Basically, the hardest part is disassembling the top portion that will allow to give you the access to your gas valve. So if you do everything and you're still having issues, at that point I would recommend replacing this gas valve. If this video was a help, please subscribe.